Moment seen on this surveillance video. It shows a man with a box cutter in his right hand slashing a 48-year-old woman more than a dozen times in her face, hands, and arms. At one point, you could see the victim trying to protect herself, but her attacker never lets up. Sources tell Pix 11 News it all started when the victim returned home and found the man trying to kick in her apartment door. He was looking for her roommate, who is apparently his ex-girlfriend, but the victim refused to open the door and let him in. That's when things escalated to violence. Belinda Evans lives right across the hall from the victim.
It scared the life out of me. That lady don't even bother nobody. She doesn't know nobody. She doesn't bother anybody. It wasn't even called for.
It happened inside this building on East 180th Street in the Belmont section of the Bronx, just before Christmas. We tried to speak with the victim, but there was no answer at her apartment door. While we were at the building, police officers showed up after getting calls from neighbors complaining about seeing the man with the box cutter roaming around the hallways. Evans says she has seen him too after the incident. She says she's afraid, to say the least.
He's running around here, and nobody's doing nothing about it to get him out of that building. Like, I don't know I'm scared for myself, in my cell.
While police are desperately trying to find the man responsible for drastically changing a woman's life and scaring neighbors in this building, Evans says she can't rest while this man is still on the streets.
We don't know when he's going to attack. What's his next move? Everybody's scared for their life over there.
Where there's been a deadly stabbing. Police say a woman was stabbed multiple times in the torso and died at the hospital. It happened around 9 o'clock tonight at 21st Street and Broadway, where you can see there on the left side of your screen a large police presence. Right now, it's unclear what led up to the stabbing. Police have not described a suspect.
Thanks, Dave. There was a murder on the main line. There's now an arrest warrant out for that woman in connection with the New Year's Eve murder in Lower Marion Township in Bala. Police are looking for 24-year-old Samaya Williams. They say she shot and killed her mother's fiancé, Adrian Reeves, last night in Bala Cynwyd. She's facing multiple charges, including first and third degree murder.
How do you know if your soap actually tonight with the officer shot while he was resting in his car between shifts? This happened overnight outside the 25th precinct in East Harlem, just hours after new mayor Eric Adams was sworn in. CBS 2's Jenna DeAngelis is live for us outside the precinct tonight with details. Jenna?
Jessica, after being shot here and undergoing surgery, we're told fortunately that officer is expected to make a full recovery. And as police search for the person responsible, our new city leaders are sending a strong message. Gun violence will not be tolerated in the city.
You don't start bringing in the new year with bringing in violence. It's unacceptable.
Mayor Eric Adams and Police Commissioner Keyshawn Sewell pledging to tackle gun violence head-on in their first news conference together since being sworn in after an officer was struck by a bullet early this morning.
There are no stray bullets. There is someone firing that weapon.
Police say the officer was in his personal car parked in the lot at the 2-5 precinct along East 119th Street. He had just finished a New Year's Eve shift and was resting before his next tour. Around 6:15 a.m., he woke up to pain on the side of his head and his window shattered. You can see the bullet round in this photo released by the NYPD. An on-duty sergeant saw the officer getting out of his car with his head bleeding. He was rushed to New York Presbyterian Hospital.
We are lucky, fortunate, and grateful on this New Year's Day.
Doctors say after surgery, the 7-year veteran of the NYPD will make a full recovery.
He was hit in the temple. The bullet was deflected partly by the window or his skull. It missed vital structures by millimeters.
No officers heard the gunshots, but they're canvassing the area for evidence that could lead to the shooter. Meantime, the PBA president calling this an opportunity to sit down with new city leadership.
Sit down and have real discussions on how we can solve these problems, not only for my members, but for each and every one of you in the neighborhoods as well.
We will find those who are carrying guns, and we will make sure that they are removed off our streets.
Gun violence in Brooklyn, where both a woman and her her dog died after being shot inside a bodega. Happened on DeKalb Avenue in Bed-Stuy. Shortly before 11 last night, you can see the woman and her dog inside the store. Seconds later, a man approaches and opens fire. The woman staggered out of the store and was found by police unconscious on the ground. She was pronounced dead at Brooklyn Hospital, and police say her dog was also killed. No arrests have been made.
We're following breaking news in North Philadelphia. A man is murdered inside of a deli. Eyewitness News at North Broad and Susquehanna Avenue. Police tell us a man in his 30s was getting ready to pay for his order when he got into a fight with a gunman and was shot 4 times. Officers are still looking for a suspect.
Violence in the city. A father shot in front of his 2-year-old son during an attempted robbery. It happened last night in Forest Hills, Queens. The suspect is still out there. CBS News' Nick Calloway has the latest.
Are you okay?
This frantic video was taken just seconds after shots and screams rang out in this normally quiet neighborhood. Gary Waldinger and Susan Mental were watching TV right upstairs.
We heard a pop and a scream, and we ran to the window. And we looked outside, and my wife called out, like, "What? Do you need help? What's going on?" And that's where a woman, my neighbor, said, please call 911. My husband's been shot." And right away, I called 911.
I just heard 2 shots and then a woman screaming for help.
Moments later, neighbors flooded the streets to do what they could, and cops arrived.
Did you guys see anything?
The 51-year-old victim was sitting in this Audi Q7 parked outside his apartment on 72nd Road and 113th Street around 9:30 Monday night. He was about to unload the car after traveling for the holidays. His wife had taken 1 child inside, but a 2-year-old was still in the back seat when 2 men yanked open the front doors and demanded the man's phone and money. When he resisted, he was pistol whipped and shot in the chest and arm. The child was not hurt, but neighbors were rattled by the violent encounter.
We're all sitting home, the family's in bed, getting ready for the next day, and then boom, and your whole life can change. And I just hope he's okay, I just hope he's okay.
They have 2 kids, and it's like they were there. And I can't even imagine how they're processing it. They're all in shock.
Videos from the scene show the victim being placed on a stretcher before he was taken to the hospital in serious condition. He has since been released. The robbers got away empty-handed. They fled in a dark sedan. So far, there have been no arrests. In Forest Hills, Queens.
Tonight, after her husband was gunned down in Humble, she says the family was at a Chuck E. Cheese celebrating their daughter's 6th birthday when he was killed. In fact, he was carrying his daughter's birthday cake when someone shot him. KPRC2's Michael Laparty live in Humble tonight as the family seeks justice for this devastating loss. Michael?
Chris, as you mentioned, the wife says the family was here for a celebration for a birthday when things took a much different turn. Amber Uresti says she's struggling to make sense of what happened outside of a Chuck E. Cheese's on New Year's Eve.
It's a tragedy. I really can't wrap my head around it. I'm hurt. I can't understand how someone can do that to someone that's holding a cake.
She says her husband, 24-year-old Calandro Duenas, died after he was shot outside.
He ran inside of the establishment, and he was screaming, "I got shot, I got shot, I got shot."
Amber says she was inside the building at the time.
We just went to go celebrate my daughter's 6th birthday. That's all he was tasked with. That's all he had on him was a cake.
Investigators say there was a verbal altercation with a man in a burgundy Ford. Officers were nearby and heard the gunshots. The man in the burgundy Ford fled the scene, and the victim was taken to the hospital.
My husband passed without me, without anybody to hold his hand, to comfort him.
Amber says her 2 children, ages 3 and 6, have been crying and asking for their dad.
I want justice. I want justice for my children, for Calandro.
Amber.
Obtained new video of a barbershop stick-up in the Bronx. You're watching the moment. Two men flashed their guns and then robbed a worker at the shop. And tonight we're learning that this same crew allegedly robbed other people right after this. News Force Mark Santia live in University Heights with the exclusive details on this. Mark.
Rana, police tell us these suspects are armed and very dangerous, pulling off at least 2 different robberies in the same day here, just a short distance away, and now the search is on for these men.
A heist inside a Bronx barbershop. One guy walks inside the place and shoves a gun in the face of an employee. The employee asked we not identify him, but he vividly remembers what the robber wanted.
Give me money. Where is the money?
The victim then explains in Spanish
Se me quedó la mente en blanco de pensar que me iba a morir.
how he gave up the money, went blank, and waited to die. Minutes after the barbershop robbery, this video shows the same suspects step outside into a neighborhood courtyard. They robbed 2 more unsuspecting victims in those red and yellow hats. The robbers rifle through their pockets. The man in the yellow hat tries to escape, but the robbers grab him by the neck and throw him to the ground. Police releasing these photos of the suspects from inside the barbershop here on Jerome Avenue and North Street. This employee stressing the importance of capturing the men.
Súper importante para que no sigan haciéndose daño.
Now, if you recognize the faces or the voices of
Chris, as you said, she's a 27-year-old woman. She'd graduated from Prairie View A&M back in 2014 and had worked a variety of retail jobs. Of course, most importantly, she was a mother. And the questions tonight are, who killed her and why? Shot and killed in a hail of gunfire off a side street in Hitchcock, Galveston County, a 27-year-old mother from Lamarck.
Officers found a vehicle with a woman inside of the vehicle. She had been shot.
Her name was Brea Michelle Lockett, and inside that very same car where she died was her 3-year-old son, who remarkably escaped injury.
It was crazy around here.
Sophia Grace lives close to the scene of the crime, and her home security camera caught the rat-tat-tat of the gunfire. This town of 7,300 people is not immune to trouble, but murder is relatively uncommon.
We're working with our law enforcement partners with the Galveston County Sheriff's Office to try and basically figure out what happened on this incident.
The killer remained at large Friday. No officially named suspects yet either. And Friday afternoon, the Galveston County Sheriff's Office was combing the scene using high-tech equipment looking for evidence. Tonight, a police source tells me.
A lot to cover on this Friday night. Good evening to you. I'm Ray Cortopassi.
And I'm Jenna Barnes. Micah Mater is off. Right now at 9, breaking news. A missing 6-year-old has been found dead. Police sources tell WGN that his death is being classified as a homicide. Damari Perry was last seen near Skokie on Tuesday. Police say he was driven to a party with his 16-year-old sister by 2 individuals. Damari's sister told police she had a few drinks at the party and passed out. And when she woke up, she says Damari and one of the individuals, known by the name of Wacko or Chaos, they were gone. We are waiting to learn more details about Damari's death. Anyone with information is asked to call North Chicago Police. That number's on your screen, 847-596-8774.
Well, tonight a man from Garrett.
Now to breaking news. A 19-year-old Burger King cashier has been shot and killed in East Harlem. Now the search is on for the gunman. It happened just before 1 a.m. at a restaurant on East 116th Street near Lexington Avenue. According to investigators, the female cashier died during what appears to be a robbery, though it's unclear how much money was taken. The victim has been identified as Crystal Beira Nieves. Police say the manager and a customer were also attacked, but both are expected to be okay.